What's going on, guys? My name is Cody. I appreciate you checking us out on YouTube, and big thanks to the in-person audience as well. I'm gonna give them a shout out at the end of the video, show you guys online who my special guest is in person. I want to talk about something crazy. Try to wrap your mind around this concept. Creation. To create means to bring something into existence. It means to cause something to happen as a result of one's actions. Create is a verb. Create means to generate, to produce, to design. It's an action. What are you creating? Are you artistic? Are you taking images concocted in your brain and turning them into something beautiful in your sketchbook? Do you have feelings and emotions so strong that the only way that you can express them is through writing words into lyrics that create a song? Are you working? You want those new Vapor Maxes, them new Jordans? So are you going to create an income? What are you creating? What if I told you that you were created? I'm not talking about human biology and how you were physically created in your mother. I'm not talking about your parents. I am talking about you and God, the creator of all things. Can you wrap your mind around God, the creator? And not just the fact that some higher being exists, but the fact that he created everything. He is responsible for the creation of all things. That takes a decent amount of faith, because the concept of creating something from nothing is not humanly possible. But God works outside of human possibilities. Yo,
yes,
he's
sir.
God.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
Gee. And then try to wrap your mind around God not existing in time in the way that you and I are. For he is the creator of all things, including time. Man, it's so confusing sometimes trying to wrap your brain around the fact that God is always existing. Like, he has been there and he always will be. He never stops, he never ends. There is no starting point and there is no finish line. God does not exist in a marathon race that is the timeline of our lives. So God, who has always been, created something. First, he started with the heavens and the earth, but the earth was empty. The earth looked as if I pulled out all the lint from the dryer after running your grandma's Christmas gifted hand knit cotton sweater on the delicate cycle and balled it all up. It was empty, it was dark, it was cold, it was plain. So God brought in the light. Yo, don't you hate it in the morning when your mom tries to wake you up, but you really are not trying to get up yet? You're like, I need a couple more minutes, Mom. You're just really not trying to get out of bed. So you just kind of lay there and you act like her words and her nudges aren't waking you up. So you just kind of lie there, act like you're still sleeping and hope that she just goes away. You just lie there asleep, you're like, just let me be. But it's a school day. She pulls out the big gun.
Bang, bang.
She says if she comes back, she's bringing the water. On the way out, she opens the curtains and then comes the sunshine. Gee! Oh no! It burns my eyes! Yo, for the record, opening the blinds ain't never get anybody out of bed any quicker. Man, it just makes you want to bundle up in the blankets even more. And now you're even more cozy and you definitely aren't trying to get out of bed. But it was the threat of the water that always got me up. So God brought in the light and he called that day. He separated the light from the dark and called the dark night. Then you know what he did? God sat back, folded his arms, and he was like, I kind of like this day and night. And he said, it was good. Hello? It was then that the earth took its first full rotation. After night came the morning and God picked up right where he left off. Yo, this is crazy. God created a self-sustaining planet and he installed an atmosphere separating the heaven from the earth, and we call that sky. Day 3 came and God got up early because he knew he was gonna be busy today. On this day, he made some adjustments to the pale blue dot. He created land elevating way beyond the oceans. Imagine mountain rangings shooting towards the skies. Big. God created dry lands and he sat back and he said, this land is good. But he realized that there was so much more potential to this earth. He got his Bob Ross on and added so many other colors to his palette. He created vegetation, he created plants, trees, he created fruits, he created vegetables. Ew. Did you know that God intentionally created fruit-bearing trees that produce fruit that contains seeds that would grow in an entirely new fruit-bearing tree? Woo! Yo, let me say that again. Did you know that God intentionally created fruit-bearing trees that produce fruit that contains seeds that would grow in an entirely new fruit-bearing tree? Woo! So check out them apples that your parents buy and you only eat out of necessity, because they grew from a tree that was once planted from a seed of another apple. and so on and so on. Yo, you ever heard that old question, which one came first, the chicken or the egg? I got another question for you. Which one came first, the apple seed or the tree? The answer is in the Bible. It was the tree. We gotta take a quick pause. No. So far, I've not mentioned any of my source material for this video. Everything I mentioned is straight from the Bible. You can read it yourself. The Bible is an amazing and all-powerful collection of books written a long time ago with many different authors, but all of them have one thing in common. One thing remains true. These writers were all inspired by God and instructed from God and given the words straight from God when writing what you are reading today. It's as if the Bible was God-breathed. Today we find ourselves in the first book of the Bible called Genesis. Genesis, which literally means the beginning of all creation. It's in the very first chapter that we learn about the wonders of our God, the creator of all things. In this series, we are going to retell some of the Bible because it's full of life-changing stories that apply to you today, starting with how you were created. Now let's get back to it. Unpause! After God checked back on his creation so far, gazing upon the mountains and the seas, from the bushels of broccoli to the tallest of banana trees, he said, "It's good." Yo, God got even more creative and decided that this self-sustaining planet would have to go through cycles aside from just light and dark, day and night. So he created the sun and the moon. He designed the moon to govern the night and the sun to dictate the day. He created the gravitational track that the earth would use around the sun. But this wasn't just about day and night. It was about winter, about spring, about fall, about summer, about spring. Yo, God designed the earth to have seasons. And on this day, he put the stars in the sky. Then God took a step back, he folded his arms, and he said, "I bet you can guess it. This is good." On the fifth day, he made the fish in the sky and the birds in the sea. Nah, he made the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky. Yo, God created all the magnificent underwater creatures. Them things are scary. He created the birds to fill the skies. Yo, I keep saying skies. There's one sky. He created birds for the sky, not the skies. He sat back and you already know what he thought. He then made it so these birds and fish would be able to multiply. Hey, God not only blessed the fruit trees to produce more fruit-bearing trees, he did the same for the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky. Man, that's nice. Day 6 is when God created other animals. God wanted to fill his natural creation with an abundance of amazing wildlife. Yo, have you ever been to the zoo? Are you ever astounded by how crazy some of those animals are? Yo, I am often in awe and disbelief that God created each and every one of those animals. Yo, like, have you ever seen a narwhal? It's basically a unicorn whale. That's a real animal and God made that. He made it. He made it. And you know what he thought about all his animals? Yo, these joints are good. Then, do you know what God did? He created this perfect paradise of a world filled with immense vegetation, creative wildlife, vast mountains, deep valleys, beauty as far as the eye can see. Then he created something to rule over all of these things. He created a human, and he created a human in his image. The Bible said, God breathed the breath of life, and God created women too. We can read that God took the rib of a man in his sleep and he formed it into a woman. So we know these first two humans as Adam and Eve. God gave them rule over all the earth. And you know what the last thing God did on that day? He admired his work. Yo, have you guys ever taken a step back to admire something that you have created? You ever find yourself so proud of your own work? Like you want to come home and put it straight on the fridge, as long as you don't leave your fingerprints on the stainless steel? Or maybe as you've gotten older, you were so proud of something that you wanted to put it on your social media for all your friends and family to see? Even that dude Jamal, who you met between the 6th and the 7th grade at summer camp, who you haven't seen in years, you want Jamal to see it too? You ever get that feeling? Your intentions aren't to be cocky, but you did something so nice that you can't help but feel yourself. God was proud of his own self when he created the world, but he was really feeling himself when he created you. That's the one takeaway I want to leave you with after you subscribe and hit the thumbs up button. Remember that God is responsible for all this natural beauty in the universe. He created the beautiful ocean beaches, the most serene views from mountaintops. He's responsible for that warm, sunny day, and it was his vision that the planet creates rain. He created the vast rainforests and the big ol' icebergs. He created the vegetation that creates food for these beautiful and amazingly complex animals. But what God was most proud of was the creation of humans. Out of every beautiful thing he mentioned, it was only man and woman that God created in his image. So what does all that have to do with you? So much. But if you're ever struggling with what you see in the mirror, look out the window instead. Look outside and see the beauty in nature, and remember that the same God that created that and all this is the same God that created you, and that you were created in his image. So now that the video is over, we're wrapping up, talked about creation. I told you guys I would give a special shout out to the live in studio audience. Thank you so much for joining me today. Let's turn this around. Thanks for joining me. What's going on? It's your boy Cody here hosting the BYMBS, pronounced BIMS, Blow Your Mind Bible Stories. Episode 1, we tackled creation and the mind-blowing fact that you were created and designed in the image of a creative and unique designer. Almighty G-O-D, baby! This week we pick up right where we left off after the first 2 humans were created. Adam and Eve, starting in Genesis 2 and 3. Here we find Adam and Eve in charge of this wonderful creation. God carved out a special place on the planet just for them, and it was a straight paradise. It's called the Garden of Eden, and within its serene beauty, you could hear the water flowing through some peaceful streams. Birds chirping in the grand sky, and the sweet aroma of vibrant flowers moving with the gentle breeze. That's so pretty, baby! In the garden there were 2 trees called the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Boom, 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 boom. Y'all can imagine what the tree of life looks like with the big old roots booming, boom, boom, from the ground, and the branches launching, sir, ready for takeoff, to the clouds. But the tree of the knowledge of good and evil was a little more unassuming. For the sake of time, I'm gonna refer to this tree as an acronym. T-O-T-K-O-G-A-E. Tree of the knowledge of good and evil. But let's call that joint Tatagi. Tatoge. Tatagi. Tatagi, Tatagi, Tatagigi. God created this garden for Adam and Eve, for them to tend to and name the animals, which had to have been wild. Imagine, dog, cat, bat, muskrat, hippopotamus. Anyways, this garden was perfect. Perfect, 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 perfect. Like at this time, everything was literally indeed perfect. Not no, oh my gosh, I got the perfect prom dress and I have the perfect date. It's gonna be a perfect night. Nah, I'm talking perfect. Perfect. It was so perfect that Adam and Eve got to walk around butt naked with no shame at all. Hey, hey. God told them that they could eat anything that they wanted from the garden. He said you can help yourself to them banging bananas. Bang, bang. He said you could have them peaches out in Georgia, that's mine. Them Florida oranges. Them avocados from Mexico. and my favorite, juicy watermelon. They all had that good that they wanted, except God gave them specific instructions that they should not eat from the tokagi. That was the one and only rule. Adam and Eve lived in a wonderful world without sin. There was no fighting, no arguing, no lashing out irrationally, no trouble deciding what's for dinner, no tugging on the comforter because it's not big enough for the both of you, no compromising on what show you want to watch, and definitely no stopping really quick at the grocery store on your way home from work. Gee! No one got sick, they were never lonely, they were never even afraid. The Bible says that a serpent, a snake, tempted Eve.
Hey, what's up, Eve?
Snakes can talk.
That fruit on the tokagi is looking mighty ripe. Take a bite. Trust me, it'll be worth it.
What? No, that's literally the only fruit we can't eat. Besides, God said I shouldn't touch it or I'll die.
Oh, you're not gonna die. Trust me. He's only saying that because God has secrets. And if you wanna unlock those secrets, you will eat the fruit. You'll be just like him. God doesn't want you to be like him. Does he even love you?
I don't know.
Eat it.
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 I don't know. Eve, I don't know.
Don't you want to be like God? Your eyes will be opened. God doesn't love you.
Fine, let me see what all the hype's about. I'll try it. Oh, it's so good. Adam, you have to try it. Okay. Okay. Ooh. All of a sudden, everything changed. With the serpent's lies, sin entered the world. With disobedience came shame, and Adam and Eve realized that they were naked. Everything was different now. The world used to be so perfect that God would literally walk with Adam and Eve in the garden. But today, when the good Lord took a stroll, he could not find Adam and Eve. They were hiding from him in the bushes. God saw their not so hidden hiding spot and called them out. God was like, why are y'all hiding from me? Y'all not even that hidden. Adam reluctantly answered, God, yeah, we're hiding from you because we're naked. God was like, naked? Who told you you were naked? Hold up, y'all ate from the tokagi? That was the one tree I told y'all not to eat from. Bruh, 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 bruh. Yo, Adam was like, yo, it was this woman that you gave me. Eve was like, Adam. Eve was like, not cool, look, the snake, he made me do it. And God was like, snake? God cursed the snake. He removed his arms and his legs, forcing him to crawl on his belly. In the dirt for as long as he lives. God made it so man and snake would become enemies. Some of y'all like, oh, that's why I hate snakes. Some of y'all like, oh, that's why I hate snakes. Then God turned to Adam and Eve and gave them their punishment. God told Eve that whenever she gave birth, it would be extremely painful for her and for every woman after her. On top of that, God said that there would be a strain on her marriage and all the marriages to come. As for Adam, because he went along with Eve, and quite frankly, probably because he threw his woman under the bus, probably because homeboy sold out his wife, God decided to curse the ground, making it harder for things to grow. For the rest of his life, everything that he needed, food, water, shelter, All would require hard work and physical labor. I'm talking blood, sweat, and tears. God casted them out of the garden, never to return again. We call this the curse or the fall of man, because it was then that God and mankind became separated. When sin entered the world, it went from perfect and fell to what we have now today. There's a couple things I want to personally take note of here. First of all, it took only the very first two people in existence to mess this up. It wasn't like Larry, 3,000 years into perfect existence, messed it up for everyone when he sinned because he cursed after stepping on a Lego. If you were the first person to ever exist, it probably would have been you two. Stop blaming Adam and Eve. Another thing worth noting is that God created humans to have free will. We are not robots here forced to worship him. We have the ability to choose. So God, being the creator of all things and the knower of all things, still created mankind knowing that we were going to disobey him. Yet God followed through and still created us anyways. Because while he might be mighty and powerful, he is also compassionate and loving. Now that speaks to the character of God and who he is. And you? So what's all that got to do with you? The next time you hear the whispers from a metaphorical serpent in your life telling you that you're not good enough, that you're not smart enough, that you're not worth it, that no one loves you, that God doesn't love you, remember that God created you in his image, and he created you even though he knew you were going to mess up. He did it anyway because he loves us, because he loves you. He knows you're gonna mess up, and time again, he's just waiting there with open arms, wide open to love his children. This is our God. And years after Adam and Eve returned to the dust where they were made, God reconnected our separation and he bridged the gap to us. We weren't gonna be separated forever because God, spoiler alert, sent his son to save the world. Jesus. 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 And Jesus, and Jesus. But that BYMB, baby, is a few seasons away. Until next time, remember whose you are. So we've all heard the story of Noah and his ark, but how did we even get there? Like, what are the events that transpired to God feeling like he needed to flood his entire creation? Because we find ourselves learning that Adam and Eve just sinned and were banished from the Garden of Eden. Then there's a little time gap all the way till Noah. How do you go from perfect paradise to a near earth-ending flood? Man, that escalated quickly. How we get from point A to point B can be summed up in today's episode of BIMS, BYMBS, Blow Your Mind Bible Stories, baby! I'm your host, Cody Mitchner. Today's story is about the sons of Adam and Eve, inheriting their parents' sin nature, separated from God, and taking sin to a whole other level. They definitely one up their parents. It is the story of the world's first murder, and it all goes downhill from there. Adam and Eve got a little busy and had themselves some children. Today's episode involves two brothers, Cain and Abel. Cain was the firstborn and he was a farmer. Abel was number two and yo, this light, bruh. This light. Oh, make it go away. Abel was number two and he became a shepherd. Cain was in charge of the plants and the crops. Sorry. Abel was in charge of the animals. See, my theory is since you got two brothers here, there had to have been a lot of unspoken competition between the two of them. Hey, trust me, I would know. Brothers are constantly trying to one-up one another. They also try to act like being shadowed by the other brother's accomplishments isn't a big deal. And it doesn't bother them at all. It doesn't bother me no more, but growing up, if I could beat my brother in anything, and I mean anything, I would. And I wasn't gonna let him off the hook. Yo, I would have these fake contests in my head that my older brother had no idea about. He did not even know they were taking place. For example, first one to the car. I would run right in front of him right before he touched that car door, put my hand on the door handle first, and then I'd yell, "Beat ya!" In short, I was annoying. Hey yo, who wrote this? My brother's my biggest fan now, but when we were growing up, we would bicker and argue all the time. Our relationship was strained because of that unspoken competitiveness and tension, on top of us having a 4-year gap in age. Plus, apparently, I was annoying. So it was really hard for him to ever be excited or enthusiastic about what I was doing, or even what I was accomplishing. Man, if y'all got siblings, you could probably relate. In fact, let's get interactive. I want y'all to comment the most annoying thing that your sibling does. My favorite comment's gonna get a shout out in the next video. Look, let me tell you guys the most annoying thing that my brother did growing up. On the weekends and stuff, sometimes he would let me crash in his room. You know, we watch movies before we go to bed. Bro time, 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 bro time. And he had like one of them beds that was like a regular bed, but it had a drawer underneath of his bed that pulled out another bed. Well, he was on his normal bed, and my bed would be the lower one. First thing that he used to do is to roll off from the top section onto my mattress and steamroll me. Bang, bang! I did not appreciate that. The second thing he used to do is when he used to sneeze, it used to come out and it would be so nasty. It would be so nasty. It would be so nasty. And he would always make me look at it. Look, Cain and Abel weren't all that different from me and my brother, and you and all your siblings. But imagine being one-upped by your little brother in front of God. How humiliating must have that been? And how angry would that have made you feel? In Genesis 4, we see that Cain and Abel gave their own unique offerings to God. Think of an offering as a gift to God, expressing to Him how thankful we are for Him. These gifts are a form of worship from our hearts. And it's recognizing that God got us. He got our backs. Man, God's got us so well that everything that we have can be traced back to Him. It's like everything we have and everything that we could give already belongs to God. When you think about offerings to God, you may be thinking about that money. The Bible does not mention a monetary system yet. So Cain and Abel gave what they had. Man, Abel went all out for his first offering. He wanted to express to God how meaningful and impactful God was to him. So he offered God that good. He was in charge of all the animals, so his offering was the best cut of meat that he could possibly get. Man, I'm talking marbled fat that turns to crispy gold brown. Ooh! That fat that melts like butter in your mouth. You can cut it with a spoon. That steak that don't even need seasonings, just a little bit of salt to bring out the flavors of the beef. I'm not talking frozen Omaha steaks out of the back of a pickup truck. I'm talking grade A. I'm talking Salt Bay. Man, this that blow your bank meal that you take your shorty out to. End up dropping your whole paycheck kind of meat. Man, I get goosebumps just thinking about that.
I get them goosebumps every time.
I gotta go make my own real quick.
Like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in the cage, I'ma let out the wake up, get out the sheets. We came from one man, forget my peace. You take the west side, take on the east. I'ma put them in the cage, never let out the stuff.
I hear him chat to me noise, move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys, man's so tough, but man's keep walking. Just too sharp with the prize, white girls gotta tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pine.
And then you got Cain. He offered God some vegetables and plain fruit. Man, Cain didn't put any effort into his offering. He probably gave God the stuff he didn't even want himself, like some steamed Brussels sprouts and broccoli. Side note, if you roast Brussels sprouts, you cut them in half, roast them, put on some kosher salt and some olive oil, it's actually great. But he gave God them steamed Brussels sprouts. So you can probably imagine how God must be feeling right now. Would y'all rather get that steak, that good, or them steamed leftover vegetables? Needless to say, God did not approve of Cain's offering. Cain flipped out and he lost his cool. Instead of just admitting that he did not put his heart and soul into that offering, Cain actually looked at his brother and put all the blame on him. Blamed him for all his problems. God saw this and he even warned Cain about his temper. Yo, y'all know what Cain did? He went to Abel instead of taking ownership and accepting the consequences of his mistake. One day, Cain invited his little brother Abel to the fields for a little play date. When Abel wasn't looking, Cain straight up killed him! Bang, 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 bang! The world's first murder. I know I was joking about how annoying siblings can be. Trust me, I would know. But the fact that I want to focus on is that this story is much more than just sibling rivalry. Because if all sibling rivalry ended in this, I would have been dead long time ago. Trust. Nah, this story is about anger, resentment, rebellion, and jealousy. It's about not owning up to your own mistakes. It's about sin and separation from God. Sibling rivalry is one thing, but to kill your own brother, that means you got some underlying issues you gotta work out. God even told Cain he needs to look out for this sin. God said, check yourself, bro, before you wreck yourself, bro. Yet he proceeded to commit even more sin. Yo, that's like a judge telling you after you messed up that you gotta be more careful. You gotta set on that straight path. But then the second you go free, you're off stealing little Debbie snacks at the Royal Farms again. Yo, them joints good though. Then you get caught. You appear in front of that same judge again. And he looks at you like, yo, I gave you all the answers to the test and you still failed? We all too often fail because the answers to these tests oftentimes involve checking the person that we see in the mirror. It is so easy to blame other people for our issues. It was so easy for Cain to blame Abel for making him look bad in front of God, when in reality it was Cain's own daggone fault. But it is what it is. God asked Cain, where is your brother? Cain was like, oh brother, where art thou? I'm not my brother's keeper. Man, I don't look after him. I'm not his babysitter. Cain lies to God. You see, sin breeds more sin. The more sin you do, the more sin you gotta do. And why are people always lying to God? Gee! That's wild. God tells Cain to listen. You hear that, Cain? That is the sound of your brother's blood crying out to me from the ground. What have you done, Cain? Let me get some music! Just like his parents Adam and Eve, Cain was cast away. God had to punish Cain. He was sent away even further, left to wander for the rest of his life. But God still demonstrated his love and care for Cain. You see, being banished, Cain was worried about getting jumped in the streets. He thought he was surely gonna get attacked and maybe even killed. So God gave him a mark signifying his protection. Man, Cain messed up. He literally committed the world's biggest sin thus far. Yet God, in his judgment, still extended grace to Cain. Cain did not get the true punishment that he actually deserved. I really like this story on surface value because there's a lot of easy takeaways. Don't murder. But when you get to really digging in, this is a story that blows your mind. We are reassured here that God will always love us even when we fail him. The one who created us in his image is often let down by our sin, yet he still looks out for us. God also called Cain out. He warned him about his sin. We all got problems. Is your internal conscience nudging you right now? Listen, God bridged the gap and he reconnected himself through, spoiler alert, Jesus. But did you know that God can intercede and support people? Something called the sneak peek Holy Spirit. So, is God telling you that you need to figure out that issue before it gets too big and uncontrollable? Do you feel his presence when presented right and wrong? God is trying to give you the answers to the test. All you gotta do is listen. If a man can murder his own brother, it's only gonna get worse from there. Year after year, sin stacked upon sin. That is how you get to a global flood where all of humanity gets wiped out except for one family, which we're gonna tackle in next week's BIMS BYMBS, baby! Until next time, remember whose you are. Do you need an ark? I know a guy. What's going on, people? I'm your host, Cody Michener, with today's episode of BYMBS, pronounced BIMS, Blow Your Mind Bible Story, baby! I have the honor of retelling one of the most famous stories in the Bible. Even if you haven't read a single word of the Bible, you've probably at least heard of Noah and his ark. Even Hollywood made a movie about him, and it was interesting. It actually really sucked. It got a 41 out of 100 on Rotten Tomatoes, so your boy is gonna try to retell it at 100. In order to do that, I need to break up the story of Noah in two parts. Second part's gonna come at you in the next episode. Last week we talked about Cain and Abel, two bros, one murder. Well, their parents, Adam and Eve, who we learnt about in the episode before that, had other children, including a dude named Seth. Well, Seth had a son named Enosh, and he had a son named Kenan, who had a son named Mahalalala, who had a son named Jared, who had a son named Enoch, who had a son named Methuselah, who never died, who had a son named Lamech, who had a son named Noah. So Adam's great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandson is this week's protagonist, Noah. With Cain came the first murder, and with the generations leading to Noah, all his people did was sin and make God angry. It was even worse than making Sagoon the meme god's brother eat the last chicken nugget and make him watch. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. God would just look down at his favorite part of creation, humans, and by the behavior and the sins that they were doing, it would just break God's heart. He was like, man, everybody out here just wicked and evil. The separation that they had from God was really taking a toll on the human race. Their inherited sin nature, combined with their free will, led God to question everything. Did you know Noah had a college degree? He majored in archaeology. That's bad. I know that I pointed out in the first episode that God still created the human race even though he knew they were going to sin. And that really points to the loving and compassionate character of God. So did God see all this crazy stuff coming? Of course. Of course. Absolutely. Yo, he's God. God knew it would eventually come to this, but he still followed through in creation because he loves us, and we have Noah and his family to thank. You see, Noah was the one bright spot in the world that was now full of so much evil.
Does this even work?
What? Alright. Noah was the one bright spot in the world that was now full of so much evil. In Genesis 6, the Bible says that God felt the need to destroy everything that he had created. Yo, the people were so bad that God was sorry that he ever created humans. Except for Noah, that is. He was a righteous man. It flies, man. Noah found favor in the Lord.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir.
So God told Noah, man, look around. Everybody's out here tripping big time. It's time to start over. Yo, so here's my plan. I'm gonna flood the earth. I'm gonna make it rain on them. I'm gonna make it rain on them. It's too much. Yo, it went right in my ear. It's not what I signed up for. Where are my glasses? This one crossed the line. Turn that off. Like it's never rained before. Every living thing is gonna be wiped out. We're starting fresh. Noah, you're literally the only good human being left, so I gotta do this. But you're gonna have to build a giant boat though. A boat bigger than the world has ever seen. Your wife, your sons, and their wives. Oh, and 2 of every animal. Everything has to fit on the ark. Yo, Noah was probably stressed. Dude lived in the desert where it like never rains. And on top of that, he has to build a giant boat? Like the only body of water nearby when Splashdown Water Park and you're not even allowed to bring inflatables there. Sir, you gotta understand, I need these. I can't swim.
No floaties here.
And now he gotta build something big enough for his family and 2 of every animal? God was like, yeah, I got you. Noah was like, okay. God even gave Noah the blueprints. He gave him specific instructions on how to create this massive ark. This was gonna be the world's biggest constructed water vessel ever created. Its size would never even be replicated until somewhere around the 1400s. The Bible doesn't mention how long it took Noah to build this ark, but I'm thinking a really long time. I'm not talking about at Buffalo Wild Wings. They say 20-minute wait, but it's been 35 minutes. Oh my gosh, we gotta wait so long. I'm talking long. No power tools. None of that. And all that time, Noah became the talk of the town. And it wasn't even like people were like, my gracious, Noah, what excellent craftsmanship. Excellent choice of choosing the pristine cypress wood. Nah, the world made fun of my guy. Yo, Noah being so extra, like it doesn't even rain. How basic. Noah, that ark is fake. Stop these foolish lies. Yo, that boy Noah looked dumb. Look at that here boy Noah building an ark in the middle of the desert. You get the picture. Just building the ark took guts. No guts, no glory. No guts, no glory. Rogue one, stuck one. It took an unshakable faith. Even though he had to have kind of thought that this was crazy, he trusted that God was going to take care of him. That's the first takeaway I want to leave you with. Following God isn't always easy, and it doesn't even always make sense to us. It takes faith. Faith is defined as complete trust or confidence in something or someone. You're putting faith in your chair to hold you up when you sit down. You're putting your faith in the school bus driver to get you to school safely. In the context of God and the Bible, faith is the basic ingredient to have a relationship with God. It is your belief. Faith assures you that God is real, that the Bible's real, that the story of Noah's real. Noah had faith in God. And even though God's plan seemed kind of shady to Noah, he combined action with his faith. Because faith without action is kind of pointless. It's one thing to believe, and it's another thing to live out that belief. And it took a special kind of faith to build an ark in a desert where it doesn't rain, being surrounded by haters, trolling you on the daily. Yay! That's faith. But Noah backed up his faith in God with action. And before I go any further in the story, before I go any further in the story, I want to acknowledge, even though God may not be talking to you like he talked to Noah, Noah, build an ark. But at the same time, if you believe these stories to be true, is there part of you feeling like there's something more for you? Like God has something in store for you? Yo, the answer is yes. But the what can only be answered by you and God. God told Noah to build an ark. So Noah did everything exactly as God commanded him. But the question remains, what's your ark, and are you doing exactly what God's telling you to do? Think about it. Do you know how Noah fit 2 of every animal in the ark? Using state-of-the-art technology. Yo, this writing is trash. Noah's Ark was 450 feet long. There's a B. There's a B. Noah's Ark was 450 feet long. Yo, that's the same length of 350 PS5s sitting flat next to each other. Xbox better though. That's the length of 1.5 football fields.
Wow.
It was 75 feet wide.
Wow.
Which is longer than a bowling alley.
Wow.
And it was as tall as the Hollywood sign.
Wow.
Noah's Ark was huge, and it had to have taken years to build. That's years of questioning whether or not this was a good idea or not. That's years of hearing from all the haters and their negativity. But I imagine them haters must have been confused when the animals started showing up. Is that a giraffe? Is that a giraffe? Are those mountain lions coming? Are those mountain lions coming? Oh my gosh. Oh, I see a monkey. Oh my gosh, I think I see a monkey. I see bears coming towards us. God only gave Noah the blueprints to the boat. He actually sent the animals to him so he didn't have to worry about all that. Yo, can you imagine Noah having to go around the world like he was playing Pokemon, trying to get all the animals before going on the ark? Yo, God really hooked him up by saving him from that. God took care of it. 2 of every animal. 1 male, 1 female. For obvious reason. Walked, flew, crawled, galloped, migrated, however they could. They showed up to the ark and they went right up the ramp themselves once it was finished being built. Yo, that's crazy because I can't even get my dog to come to me when I have treats. That's how you know God had them animals trained. Yo, let me get some music. We've learned that the creator of all things has created you in his likeness. In the story of Adam and Eve, we learned that because of sin, we are separated from God. If we jump ahead, that sin is connected through Jesus. But we also learned from Cain and Abel about the dangers of sin and how we desperately need help as humans. In the story of Noah, we are given a glimpse into a wicked world about to be destroyed. But the future of humanity and all of creation is saved through one man's faith. We have an apocalyptic flood, yet this story is about hope and faith. In the next story, I want to tell you about God's promise. But today, it's about the ark. The ark was real, and it took faith. So again, I ask, what is your ark? It's not a literal ark, but what is it that's gonna take an amazing amount of faith to accomplish it? Are you scared? Are you even worried about the haters? What people are gonna think? How they're gonna judge you? But what's stopping you from building that ark before the flood comes? The Bible says that Noah did everything that the Lord asked. And when it came time, after the ark was made, after all the animals were on, after Noah and all his family and all the food was on board, God closed the door behind them and it began to rain.
Hey Noah, I'm sorry.
Hey, Noah, I'm sorry. It was just a joke.
I didn't think it was real. I didn't mean it.
Noah, it was a joke.
Hey Noah, I said what I said.
Please.
I wish I could take it back. I just need to get on the boat. As for the rest of the story, tune in next week. Thank you for joining us for today's BYMBS, Bible Stories That Blow Your Mind, baby! I'm your host, Cody Mitchner. Until next time, remember whose you are. Glasses. What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Cody Mitchner, back at it again, bringing you the season 1 finale of BYMBS, pronounced BIMS, Blow Your Mind Bible Stories, baby! This week I have a special treat. On this here CD is some never before seen footage from Noah's Ark. I know you might be thinking, wow, that doesn't even sound real. And I'm telling you that you aren't not wrong. And I was even skeptical at first, but after watching this, I obtained a newfound perspective on what it was like being on the ark. You see, last week I touched on Noah's faithfulness and what it took to build a literal ark. And that challenged us to think about the ark in our own lives. What thing, big event, or even a life-changing idea do we need to trust God with? You see, obedience brings blessing.
Yes, sir. Yes.
And in this story, Noah, the only righteous man left on earth, obeyed God even when it was hard. Today, I want to talk to you about the blessings and promise that God brought to Noah for his obedience and faithfulness. But we first got to understand that the story of Noah did not finish when he got on the ark. Building it was putting his faith into action, but actually being on the boat required a monumental amount of trust. I think we get a decent glimpse into how Noah was feeling on the CD. As we watch this, we're gonna pick up right where we left off after Noah gets on his ark.
Whoops. Where's the file? Okay, there it is. Boom.
Noah here. I wanted to document my life on the ark. I feel like people would want to see what it looks like, saving humanity. This is my first entry. I think this could be very therapeutic for me, and maybe it'll help me from not going crazy and getting cabin fever. I'm not gonna hold back. I want people to know everything. Do you hear that? God just sealed the door. I think it's gonna start raining soon. It's finally raining. It took a whole week, but it's raining like it never has before. The rain is so loud, but it does not drown out the screams of those who I had to leave behind, crying to get on my boat. The same boat that they mocked me for building for years. But this is gonna haunt me. I look to God and I thank Him for the blessing of life and honoring my faithfulness by entrusting me with all of this. Today's feeling overwhelmed. It has been a week of non-stop rainfall. I cannot see the ground anymore. I can still see the treetops in the distance, but it's the constant pelting of every single raindrop crashing into the roof of the ark that is beginning to get to me. Today's feeling annoyed. At least the animals aren't so bad. Well, the elephants got into some beans, and now we just have Brussels sprouts left as far as vegetables go. I told my sons, cut them joints up, put some olive oil on it, fry them up in a skillet and put some kosher salt. My wife thinks they're really good, but I just can't stomach them myself anymore. The stench of them are far worse than the elephants. Today's feeling? Aggravated. I miss sunlight. It's still raining. Today's feeling? Sad. It's finally stopped raining. For the first time since we've been on the Ark, I don't hear raindrops. When I look out the window, all I see is water. The mountaintops have disappeared. I'm afraid that everything on the planet is gone, just like God said it would be. But I still trust God. He's gotten me this far. Today's feeling? Hopeful. This is a lot of work for a 600-year-old man. I forgot to bring my suitcase with all my shirts. This is my only one, and it's not even my favorite. Today's feeling? Naked. Naked. We are still floating. Just chilling. But I'm gonna tell you, I'm starting to go a little crazy. My sons keep fighting. They can't even have a conversation without arguing. My wife keeps pestering me. Move the dogs away from the cats. But that's a lot of work. I thought the cats and the dogs were gonna be best friends. Who would have guessed that they're not? Today's feeling? Cabin fever. Cabin fever. Cabin fever. Noah, take your wife on a boat, he said. It'll be like a cruise, he said. It'll be fun, God said. But did God tell me that? Oh wait. Put all your children on a boat so that you'll never get alone time. It'll be an adventure. Oh wait. But you're not gonna have time for an adventure because you'll be doing non-stop work, keeping everything alive. The Ark has landed. What a wonderful day. This means that the ground is beginning to absorb the water and the levels are dropping. I cannot wait to run through a grassy field like a child again. What a great day. But it is windy though. Today's feeling? Excited. We must have landed on like the tallest mountain because I can't see anything else yet. I spoke prematurely before. I'm afraid that I'm stuck here for some quite time. You ever hear the expression that something is so slow, it's like watching paint dry? I have a new one for you. It's so slow, it's like watching a flood evaporate. Today's feeling? Defeated. Ran out of toilet paper. Things are starting to get weird. I'm beginning to see the tops of mountains again. I think we're getting close. I spoke too soon again. Get out of my face! Get out of my face! The ground still does not look ready yet. I'm wondering if somebody in my family has at least prayed for patience. Feeling? Duped. So I decided to release some birds to see if they don't come back. If they don't, that means that they have found land. It's been 40 days since I've seen the top of other mountains. I sent out the Baltimore Raven, but I had no luck. I'm gonna see if the doves can find any land. I'll start releasing one dove a week. The homie Drake came back with a leaf. Oh yeah, Drake is my dove. I've been using him. He's been helping me figure out God's plan. Anyway, coming back with a leaf means that there's land. Land, 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 land. It appears I spoke too soon again. Even though, my back is so itchy. It's clear to me that now that we've opened up, what's it called? The cover on the Ark. It's clear that it's just not ready yet. But we have to be close. I'm so embarrassed. I forgot my toothbrush. And it's finally catching up to me. We have to be getting close. Today is the day. The land is dry, and God has commanded us to go out. I'm gonna miss this boat, but I'll be happy if I never have to go on here again. The smells alone make me want to throw up. Now, to get this here camera off. Sam, can you help me turn this camera off? You know your old man's bad with technology. I'll take it from here. Thanks, Noah. I told you that it wasn't not real. Those diaries were a great glimpse into the Ark life. They were on that boat for over a year. That's a year of wondering how much longer. and a year of, are we there yet? It took guts following through with staying on the ark and keeping it all together. Maybe you guys are on an ark. You might be beginning to go a little crazy like Noah did. You might even begin to doubt and ask questions about what God has in store for you. But you know what? Cherish this journey that we're all on and push through after the flood. Push through after the flood, because we gonna be on that land. That land. That land. That's metaphorical, bro. The flood literally washed away all the evil and wickedness and took every living land creature except for what was on the ark. The ark carried life. It carried hope. It reminds me of space movies set in the future. The earth is dying and humanity needs a home. We see a family leaving the earth in a spaceship as we watch the earth disappear in the background, and they are carrying the responsibility for continuing humanity. Yay! What an enormous amount of responsibility. Noah listened to God and he backed up his faith with action. God honored Noah's follow through on the ark by entrusting Noah with great responsibility. Noah's faith saved humanity. Yo, thanks Noah. Thanks bro. Good looks. Muchos gracias. Probably cut that part out. Remember, obedience brings blessing. So, how does all this relate to you? After last week, have you figured out what is your ark? Did you find it yet? Don't be discouraged if you haven't. Just keep on searching. If you've got your ark, are you giving it to God? Yo, let's cue that music. Let's remember, sin and separation from God is what led to a wicked world in which God needed to start over. And he started over using the only good guy left. After Noah got off the ark, he praised God. Noah and his family gave God an offering, a sacrifice. God gave him new rules to live by so people wouldn't fall back into their old ways. After giving Noah the responsibility of filling the earth, God promised to never destroy the earth again. He put a rainbow in the sky and said to use this as a reminder of my promise. Rainbows might form because light is refracted through the inside of a water droplet when the sunlight hits a drop of rain. We see rainbows when the sun is out and even when it's raining. Isn't that kind of ironic? In order to get a rainbow, an amazing rainbow, you need the sun and the rain at the same time. Two things completely different come together to make this amazing visual candy for us to consume. But next time you see a rainbow, realize that it has God's craftsmanship all over it. Let it be a reminder that he will never destroy the earth again. Let it remind us that if we are obedient and trust him, he's gonna take care of us. That we are made in the image of God, and that God loves us. He loves you. He created us a rainbow, something so complex yet beautiful at the same time, to let you know that instead of destroying the world, God will one day send his son to save it. All you gotta do is be like Noah. Have faith and build your ark. What is your ark? What thing in your life could only be achievable through faith in God? Do not hold yourself back. Do not be afraid. Have patience. Have trust. Have faith. What is God saying to you? And what are you going to do about it? It's time to start building. Until the next season of BYMBS, baby! Remember whose you are.